Well, it looks like you had fun with your Kahoot. The kids enjoyed it a lot. I'm wondering, how did you think to involve a Kahoot based upon the original teaching? What made you, or what was your hope and desire for the Kahoot and the results that you were looking for from that?
So, well, first we had the introduction of the topic. We talked about that a little bit, and then with the Kahoot, I was just trying to check their understanding of the first thing, and then with the data that I collected, I was trying to get like the small groups, so I can focus more on the ones who are struggling, and also to challenge the ones who got almost all of the questions. So the idea was more like to have like the groups set,
right,
and so they receive the extra help they need.
So the discussions that you were having, not only in your groups but also in the whole class activity, was that part of your strategy that you were using, the actual discussions that you found the kids were having?
Yeah, definitely, because we know that numbers are everywhere,
right,
and in every daily thing we are doing,
right,
with their money, with you can even see them on around the city and things like that.
Sure.
So every time I told them, like, every time you see the hundreds are gonna be in a certain place, the tens are gonna be in certain places, and the ones are gonna be in certain places. They are not just gonna go.
Right.
And if I change the order,
right,
of course it's gonna be a different number.
Of
and so
course.
the conversations that we're having were more or less about that. Like, okay,
Right.
if they are asking about hundreds, can I have my hundreds to the other side? So they were like kind of like no. And
Right.
so this is more or less what we're basically having every day,
Right.
and it's a real thing,
Right.
and so that's more or less the connection I was trying to make for these kids, that they are having money to buy
Right.
different things, and
Right. And so you really need to understand hundreds, tens, and ones in order to give them and give the right amount of money, don't you?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I want to know, in your creation of your individual centers, what was your thought process in creating the type of centers that you did, and how did you feel like that they worked? Was it an effective technique that you used in creating the centers with the students?
So for my class, centers are very important,
Okay.
because so I can focus on them and how, like, the instruction for them, so they understand better the concept.
Okay.
And so I was trying to create centers that they can hit like certain
Certain learning styles.
kind of, yeah.
Sure. Like I noticed that when you had the game where they were downstairs, where they were down on the carpet and they were working, you had kinesthetic learners doing things with their hands, you had visual learners, and you had auditory learners who were all being able to be catered to in just the right way. So I think that that's important, that when you're looking at your learners, especially mathematicians, that you're seeing them all as different learners. Did you find that through the collaboration or the talking that you guys did, you were able to have discussions about different ways that people solve the problems?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And for me, it was very interesting, because even today I run the centers,
Right.
and they were like, one of my kids was like, oh, this is easy, but the other one was like, what do you mean easy? And so I was like, okay,
Right.
try to do it,
Right.
and then we all gonna check like the different ways of doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So that part was very nice, because one of my kids was just like kind of explaining the other one, like, this is how I did it, and the other
Right.
one's like, oh, but I did it this other way. So
Right.
I think that was really nice, especially
Right.
for them.
It's
So they are not-
insightful, isn't it? It really is insightful with math. I love how little students will think about it and go, oh, wow, I hadn't even thought of it that way. So when you use the assessment, did you feel like it was a tool that you will continue using in your classroom throughout the school year, even maybe in other subject areas?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think that the students responded to being able to use the electronics and have that? They weren't excited at all, were they?
Oh my gosh, they really love Kahoot, and I actually really like it too, because
Sure.
it is like the perfect tool, I would say, to assess how much they know,
Right.
and even to have fun. Sometimes we're
Right.
having fun with that.
And learning should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them having celebrations in their chairs.
Oh my
And that's a good thing because that means they're actively engaged in the learning process, excited about their learning, and you did a great job to get them excited about their learning. and they're having those conversations, but they're not having conversations that are off task. They're having conversations and celebrating or discussing things with each other in a way that really is conducive to a positive learning environment. I really love that. Let me ask you, if you were to do this again, would you change something? And if so, what would that be?
Yeah, so I noticed that the time I was giving them for the centers
Sure.
maybe was like too long.
Okay.
And so that was this week that I checked, and I was like, oh yeah, they are taking like too long on this, and so they were kind of losing the focus at some
Right. A
point.
little bit restless,
So-
maybe. Okay.
I did change and have like small like shorter
Right.
time, and
Right.
so that was.
And I think
kind
in
of the
doing
thing.
that, it's really great because when you stop and think about a little 7 and 8 year old, 12 minutes is probably their maximum
Yeah.
ability to be able to focus on one thing. And just the fact that they were able to do that transition and you make the adjustments to give them that positive learning space and really just kind of continually work together as a team and learning is beautiful. Well, I think you're doing a great job. I think every week I'm seeing you grow in confidence. I'm seeing you grow in your ability to be able to look at your learners and differentiate instruction. And I really do think that moving forward, you're just going to grow more and more in your passion for being able to connect with these students in all different ways so that you know that they're all going to be learning in their just right space. So bravo.
Thank you so much.
Very nicely done. All right.